Hello, my name is Robert Emmett Herman. I'm head of Blue Sack Productions, the publisher of Irish Environment, an online magazine covering environmental matters on the island of Ireland. I'm very happy today to be here in Dublin with Mindy O'Brien. Hello, Mindy. How are you?
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, thanks. Now, Mindy is the coordinator of Voice, and I wonder if you could tell the audience what Voice is, and first of all, where does the name come from?
Voice stands for Voice of Irish Concern for the Environment, so it's an acronym.
Okay.
And we started as Greenpeace back in the 1980s, I think. And what happened is Greenpeace pulled out in the 1980s, and in its place, or it's 1990s, and they pulled out, and so they gave us a small starting grant to establish an Indigenous environmental organization. And so Voice was put in place, and I think our opening we had the warrior, the Greenpeace warrior go through the Liffey as a launch of Voice, and so that was 1997. So this year is our 20th anniversary.
Congratulations!
Yeah. Oh, we never thought we'd make it this far.
Now, what is Voice, and what does it do now?
We're an environmental charity, and so we used to work on lots of different issues, but we just found it was just overwhelming. So we primarily focus on two issues, which is still overwhelming. So waste and resource management and the circular economy is one aspect, and then water. We don't deal with the marine, but we deal with fresh water. And so the Water Framework Directive and implementation of such in Ireland.
Now, do you do that through Voice or through Swan?
As Voice, we're a member. We're a member of Swan. We established Swan, I don't know, about over 10 years ago, to do the public participation aspect of the Water Framework Directive.
And Swan stands for
Sustainable Water Network.
Okay. Before I ask, how many members are there in Voice?
We're quite small. I'd say we have probably just over 200 members. We also do an e-newsletter, so if anyone wants to sign up to our e-newsletter, they can, and we have about 800 subscribers to our newsletter.
Okay.
But we're always looking for new members, so I'll put a little plug here for that.
How do they sign up for your newsletter?
You can do it online.
And what's the website address?
It's voiceireland.org.
Okay. voiceireland.org. Sign up, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, you also concentrate heavily at the moment in food waste.
Yes.
Now, what I thought we'd do, Mindy, is just talk about some of the achievements of Voice in general, and then go through the food waste issues and come back to some of the achievements in that. So, what has I know the plastic bag has been a major issue for you.
Yeah, we proposed this back in the early 2000s. I think it was Voice and maybe Coast Watch as well. It's before my time, but it was a big issue for us, and we brought it to the government, and they adopted it in 2002. They put it, I think it was a 15-cent levy on each plastic bag. And it's become the model all around the world, really. And now people have gone the next step to ban certain bags, plastic bags. But putting the 15 cents in, it's slowly ramped up, and that money went into an environmental fund for Ireland, along with landfill taxes to fund EPA enforcement, other EPA programs, waste prevention programs, and also the Irish Environmental Network. The thing is that it's been very successful, and a lot of people have moved to the reusable bags. That actually the environmental fund, is going drastically low. So it's had the desired effect, which is great. But bad for the environmental groups who are looking for the money. But actually, no, we're delighted that the use of plastic bags have gone down.
But you were hoisted by your own petard.
Yes. No, that's great. Yeah.
But it's great. It's a great success.
Yeah, it is.
I have to ask you about two projects which I was just absolutely delighted with in reading about. That is the secondhand bicycle repair and sale project. Tell the audience what that was.
And we've been working on reuse and on the circular economy, working with the EEB and the EU to adopt a circular economy package. But the government decided to have a National Reuse Month last October, and so we were trying to establish a zero waste community in Ireland. And we'll talk about it later in Cashel. And so I've been working with the community, teeing it up, talking to all the different community groups, and with the local authority, and with the EPA, and with the regional waste management offices. And so I decided during Reuse Month that we'd try to do creative consumption Cashel during the month of October. And so we did 5 different events in Cashel. One of them was the secondhand bike repair and swap project that we had at the local school. We asked people to bring their bikes either to be repaired or to sell. And It was a learning experience because a lot of people brought them to be repaired, and we had a bike mechanic on site, and so he repaired probably about 10 bikes, and he repaired a couple to be sold. But in the future, what I would do is I would link the national school with the secondary school, because a lot of people came in the small bikes wanting the larger bikes.
Yes.
But the larger bikes weren't there because
Yes.
we didn't encourage the secondary school to be involved. So if we do it again, and we will do it again, we'll do the whole spectrum of the primary and the secondary school.
That's what struck me, is that the people were really kind of needing a trading up. It was a brilliant way of doing that.
Live and learn. That was our first foray into that.
Tell about the charity shop.
And the charity shop.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we want to work with the charity shops because really they don't realize this, but they are one of the key people in the circular economy because they keep things in the consumer stream. And so I approached 2 of the charity shops in Cashel and said, I'd love to do a charity shop fashion show. And so they jumped on board, which is great. And we got they have a wonderful local hall, Hall in Afela. And so we had both charity shops there, but then we also asked people to bring clothes on the night so that instead of paying to get in, they brought clothes as their ticket.
Okay, great.
And so we were furiously putting things on hangers and putting prices on them. And I think both of them raised maybe about $2,000 on the night.
That's terrific.
And they got local women and children to model clothes from the charity shop. And so they had their own stalls, and then we had all the clothes that people brought as well. So it was a great night. We had wine and cheese, and it was a great social. We had probably about 50, 60 people attend. It was great fun.
It sounded like such an upbeat night.
Yeah, it was great,
Now, Mindy, let's switch to the food waste, because it is really a central focus for Voice, and I think, as you say, you're really the organization which is taking the lead in doing that. And I thought we could do, if you could walk us through the various steps, or we could walk through together the various steps in the production of food and see where those waste streams flow from. And I guess the first thing is planting crops and raising animals is the first step.
And that's the problem there, is that a lot of people, we can't get the statistics on that. That farmers are producing crops, and oftentimes they have contracts, say, with the big supermarkets, and the big supermarkets say, we only want parsnips. So they'll plant the parsnips, and if they don't meet the exact standards, the shops reject them. But there's also something in the contract that prevents them from selling that elsewhere. So either they feed it to their animals or they plow it back into the land. So trying to get statistics on that is very difficult. I know in the UK they have, and they estimated, and so extrapolating information from the UK and other countries, we estimate that's probably about 300,000 tons of food wasted each year on the farming aspect. So basically it's, insect, cabbage that have insect damage, or carrots that are too small, broken, too big, too small, bruised, so the ugly vegetables and fruits. And then in the processing, there's also waste there, and we calculate probably between farming and processing is maybe about half of the food waste, and then or less than half. Processing, say they are manufacturing pre-made meals, and if they forget an ingredient, or if the packaging is wrong, or the labeling is wrong, even though it's still good, they're not going to sell it. So that could be tossed. And also, when they send their products to a warehouse, kind of the people in between, it sits there until the shop say, we want it. And so it could sit there for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the expiry date is getting closer and closer. So if the shops don't have a long expiry date for them to sell it, they're not going to take it. If that makes sense. So you have things maybe with a week and a half expiry date, has no place to go. And so where does that go?
Yeah, where does it go?
Well, right now that's now going to Food Cloud.
Food Cloud is
a new venture here. It's been around. Let's see, they started as Food Glorious Food back in 2012, and I was on the board of Be a Food Initiative, which is we were creating a food bank, a national food bank, and then Food Cloud was the online app, and so they were dealing with the small quantities. So say a Super Value or a Tesco Express. At the end of the day, so we have 20 loaves, we have 15 fruit cups, we've got some ham, we've got sandwiches, whatever. They post it, and it goes to charities maybe 5 miles around the shop. And it's a virtual food bank, so the charities would come to the shop and take the food.
Okay.
And then Be a Food Initiative, which I was involved with on the board, is that we established 3 hubs. So we have Cork was our first one, and I tell you, it was a labor of love. It took us a while. We were operating on a string and a prayer, but finally we got some people involved, and we got some good money in, and we established Cork as a pilot, and that worked very well. So now we've got Dublin and Galway. So 3 hubs to deal with the whole country of Ireland, of the Republic, and we're also working with the North as well. And then a lot of the board members are on both Food Cloud and BIA, and so they merged last year. So now it's called Food Cloud and Food Cloud Hubs. So it's been very successful, and now they are receiving a lot of the surplus food from, say, the indirect people, some of the manufacturers, like Dawn Meats. They would be carving the meat for ham. They had the end meat, the end bit, and they didn't know what to do with that. So now they're packaging that up. They have maybe 200 pounds I don't know if it's 200 pounds a week. They're sending this, and so now the chefs and the charities are cutting up for spaghetti carbonara, and they're using it in their recipes. So we're finding the food waste, or food surplus food, because we don't want to get people that's actually waste. And then, and they also deal with the retailers now. And the retailers, instead of throwing it away, they now are sending it to Food Cloud.
Now, do the stores get a tax deduction or a charitable?
No, we've asked them to, and we've looked into this. They are happy right now because government, I don't think, will be giving a tax deduction for these sort of things. And actually, the shops, they get the good CSR, the corporate social responsibility tag, and supporting this. Second, they're saving on their disposal costs.
Right.
And so that helps them. And it makes them feel good. They don't like throwing away food either. So we've looked into, but what I'd love to do, and I've spoken with Food Cloud and with some other charities, is to establish a Good Samaritan Food Donation Act, which is in the States. It's a national legislation that was enacted. It was Congressman Emerson back in the 80s who proposed it. So that when I say I'm a corporate donor, I'm a Tesco's or a Super Value, I donate the food, I am relieved of all liability unless I'm grossly negligent.
Because for the food is
for the food itself.
Yes, tainted.
So because a lot of people say, we don't want to give the food because we're worried about contamination, and we're worried about someone coming back and suing us. I mean, there's food there, but the area that we're having difficulty is with the retail, with the restaurant food waste and the catering waste, and that's more difficult to address because it's already been cooked. And you have to make sure
and spoil quickly.
Yeah, and you have to make sure it's refrigerated quickly. It gets to the person, stays refrigerated, and it's only reheated once. I mean, you can do it. The food safety authorities try to come up with guidelines on that, but that's another one we need to tackle. That's challenging.
Now, what about the after the packaging and distribution
and retail? So retail, and they probably have about 300,000 tons. But hopefully now that's being transferred to Food Cloud. Not all of it. I'd say we figure that probably 50,000 tons. So 50,000 tons could be transferred over there. So it's still a lot less than what they're producing. So they're producing a lot. And under current regulations in Ireland, they cannot put that into their black bin. It has to be composted.
Now, what about in the consumption with people eating at home? And you get into that area at all?
That's primarily where we're working on now. So we work on a national level on policy and working with the EPA. They have a thing called Stop Food Waste, which is a website, and they've been doing lots of work on reducing waste on the consumer side. Food Cloud is dealing on the retail and processing side. So we're doing a lot on consumption and consumers. And so we do events, we go out, and because it's another about 350, 400,000 tons on a consumer side. And that's because we're not planning, we're buying 2-for-1s, so if they say, buy one, get one free, bog-offs as we call them. And so people say, buy one loaf of bread, get the second one free. But the thing is, you're never going to use that second loaf unless you have loads of people in your family, or you freeze it, if you're smart about it, you can take advantage. But the shops are smart. They want you to buy.
Yes.
And so that's an issue. So people aren't planning. So people go to shops, they go shops hungry, so they buy too much. What people should do is plan what you're going to cook. I plan maybe 3 or 4 days in advance. And so I know I'm going to use this chicken, and I'm going to make chicken curry the next day. So I know I don't buy without knowing what I'm going to use it for. And people buy too much, and then it goes into these big refrigerators, and they get lost. And then you're throwing around. And the thing is when you throw away food, you're throwing away money. And it's estimated we're throwing away between 600 and 800 euros each year. Just in food waste that could have been used.
So let's shift into some of the achievements that you've done in the food waste area, and that is the Feeding 5,000 Dublin in 2012. Tell the audience what that was.
There's a man called Tristram Stewart who's been working on this in the UK for years, and he did, I think it was a 2011 maybe, he did in Bristol Feeding the 5,000 event. And it was very successful to take food that was about to go off, or food, short-dated food, or food is about to be thrown away, and feeding 5,000. He did that in Bristol. He did it in London. And then we said, God, that's a great idea. And that could launch kind of our campaign. And so we were the third or fourth area to do it. And now it's been all over the world. But we did it in Wolftone Park over at the end of Henry Street. And we had not quite 5,000, but we had quite a few people there, and we had a chef come in, and we had 600 tons of vegetables that were donated. It was food. It was going to be used to feed animals, so it would have been rejected by supermarkets. It was grade 2, grade 3 animal food, so it was the potatoes are oddly shaped and might have some markings on it, and broken carrots and slightly bruised vegetables. So we made a beautiful curry, and we had information. We launched via Food Initiative there, Food Glories Food, which also went into Food Cloud. It was us, and then Stop Food Waste, the EPA Waste Prevention program. So we all ganged together, and so I tell you, I lost a lot of sleep every night. Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I had never thrown an event like this, and the logistics are huge. But so at the end of the day, someone said, "Do you want to do it again?" I said, "No."
But it has been replicated in different cities.
Yeah, they had Feeding the 5,000, Feed the City in Cork, and which we were advising on, and then we've also had Feeding 500 at UCC, University College Cork, and also University UCD College Dublin has also had them. And so from there, we decided to have, we worked with Stop Food Waste to do a kind of, we thought reducing the 5,000, but also it turned into Stop Food Waste Challenge. So we went actually into communities, and we worked with tidy town groups in several counties to bring people in with the steps that I described to you, and work with them to reduce their food waste on a face-to-face, giving them the hints on how to reduce their waste. It's a lot of resources to try to get behavioral change, but they all did reduce their waste, and that we piloted it, and now Stop Food Waste is working with the local environmental awareness officers, and they're doing those now. And then another initiative we've done is, instead of doing huge Feeding the 5,000 event, which is only one location, we're now doing food rescue, which we've done in 9 counties, in different locations. Each event is different. And what we do again is we rescue food that's about to be thrown away, but we work with the locals, and we make sure it's their event and get them involved. And so we have either done standalone events, or we've done them in conjunction with festivals. And so that we kind of show people what you can make with food that's about to be thrown away. We've had cooking demonstrations, how to cook with leftovers. We've had composting demonstrations. I actually did a cooking demonstration. It's my first and only one. It worked okay. But it's been people have been very positive about it, but it's actually getting into the communities to educate people about that. Now, speaking of getting into communities, it's not strictly food waste, but you're also very active in setting up the first zero waste community in Cashel. And where's the status of that? We've launched it. We launched it. Yeah, we launched it in March. So
and it's not just food waste, correct?
No, this is all waste. So our Voice's focus is all waste and resource efficiency. But we've been doing a lot in food waste. So I'm delighted to expand into other issues besides that. So we work closely with Zero Waste Europe. which is the kind of the mother organization in Europe. And we've been trying to get a zero waste community here for several years. When we did our submission to the regional waste management plans, we said, why don't you do a pilot embracing zero waste? Because zero waste is in, basically it's a journey towards zero waste through prevention, through reuse, repair, recycling, and to kind of change, it's a paradigm shift rather than seeing waste as something to throw away and a linear extraction, use, dispose. It's how do you keep it in a circle, like the growth, like in nature, keep things in the cycle? Because the thing is, a lot of our resources, once you extract them, they're gone.
And what's the status now in
Cashel?
In Cashel, yeah.
Well, we worked on it for the last year, and talking to all the. And the thing is, it has to be a local initiative. It can't be us flying in and say, "You need to do this." So we've been working with the Lions Club, the Tidy Towns groups, the GAA, the rugby club, the local resource center, the local county council, the regional waste management office. So we pulled everyone together, and everyone says, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So Cashel is a vibrant local community, a vibrant small community, about 4,000 people, but also has a very vibrant tourism trade as well because of the Rocket Cashel. So we wanted to do a kind of a traditional Irish community. And so we've teed it up. We got some money from EPA through their Green Enterprise grant. So we applied last June, and we got the award in October. So now we've hired somebody, a guy named Derry O'Donnell, who's a local Tipperary man. And we launched it in March. And so he's working with local groups, introducing. We did a
just this last month.
Just this last month.
Okay,
it's an 18-month pilot, and he's been meeting with everybody, all the local groups. We've just had the St. Patrick's Day parade where he dressed up he was wearing waist like Rob Greenfield, and marching down the road. And then we also sponsored the best. It was. Going Green, I think, was the theme in Cashel, and a lot of the floats had recycled content. And so we did an award for the best float with the most recycled content. So it's called Zero Waste Cashel. We're launching our website hopefully this week. So it'll be zerowastecashel.ie.
Okay.
And we're very excited about the project. Yeah. So
look at the website. Okay.
Yes, please look it up. And we have a Facebook site as well, and Creative Consumption Cashel. It's kind of incorporated with that as well. So Cash is a fantastic organization,
so
community.
And so
thank you very much.
Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks very much, Bob. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Bye.